First contact. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the signal pattern dancing across her quantum computer's display, her third cup of coffee growing cold beside her keyboard. After 15 years of searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, she'd seen countless false positives, but this was different. The signal pulsed with an unmistakable mathematical precision that sent chills down her spine. "Marcus," she called to her research assistant without taking her eyes off the screen. "Are you seeing this?" Marcus Wheeler rolled his chair across their cramped observatory office, his usual skepticism evident in his furrowed brow. "Another stellar anomaly?" he asked, but his expression changed as soon as he saw the pattern. "Wait, that's not natural." "No," Sarah agreed, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she refined the signal analysis. "It's not just artificial, it's aimed directly at Earth. And there's something embedded in the pattern." The signal had appeared suddenly 3 hours ago, originating from somewhere in the Arcturus system. But unlike traditional SETI signals they'd searched for, this one wasn't just broadcasting, it was downloading. Hidden within the mathematical sequences was what appeared to be technological information, complex schematics that were automatically being decoded by their quantum systems. "We need to contact the Global Space Defense Council," Sarah said, already reaching for her secure phone. Now. Within hours, the observatory was swarming with military personnel and government officials. Dr. James Morrison, head of the GSDC, stood behind Sarah as she explained what they'd discovered. "The signal contains detailed technical specifications," she explained, pulling up the partially decoded schematics. "It's like someone sending us a technological care package. But the really strange part is how it's being transmitted. The signal itself is utilizing principles of quantum entanglement we've only theorized about. Whoever sent this is far beyond our current capabilities." "Could it be a threat?" Morrison asked, his weathered face grave. "Some kind of Trojan horse." "Possible," Sarah admitted. "But why bother? If they're this advanced, they could probably just destroy us outright." "No, this feels more like a gift. Or maybe a test." Before Morrison could respond, Marcus burst into the room, his face pale. "You need to see this," he said, pulling up a new set of readings. "We're detecting massive objects entering the outer solar system. Multiple signatures, moving at impossible speeds." Sarah's blood ran cold as she processed the data. "Those are ships," she whispered. "Massive ones. And they're not coming from Arcturus. They're coming from the opposite direction." Morrison was already on his phone, barking orders. "Get me the Secretary of Defense. We're at Defense Condition 2. This is not a drill." The next 48 hours were a blur of activity. As the unknown ships approached, Sarah and her team worked frantically to decode more of the Arcturus signal. What they found was both fascinating and terrifying. Detailed specifications for defensive systems far beyond current human technology, but designed to interface with Earth's existing infrastructure. They knew they were coming, Sarah realized as she stared at the schematics. Whoever sent this signal knew Earth was about to face a threat and gave us the tools to defend ourselves. But why? The answer came 3 days later, when the alien ships entered Mars orbit. Their message was broadcast simultaneously on every communication device on Earth. "People of Earth, this is High Commander Vex of the Hegemony. Your world has been deemed suitable for integration into our empire. Resistance is futile. Your technological development is insufficient for effective defense. Surrender now and accept your place in the natural order." Sarah looked at Morrison as the message repeated. "They don't know about the signal," she said, "about what we've received. The Arcturus Protocol." Morrison nodded grimly. "Then maybe we have a chance. How quickly can you implement these defensive systems?" Sarah turned back to her quantum computer, where the decoded schematics continued to evolve and adapt. "That's the thing," she said. "I think they're already implementing themselves. The quantum networks are learning, evolving. Whoever sent this gave us more than just technology. They gave us something that could grow." As if in response, her screens flickered with new information. The Arcturus protocol was spreading through Earth's defense networks, upgrading and enhancing everything it touched. And in the space between the stars, the hegemony fleet approached, unaware that humanity had been given an unprecedented advantage. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a gift of defense technology. As she watched the protocol work, she saw patterns emerging that hinted at something far more profound. This wasn't just about saving Earth. It was about proving something. To whom and why remained to be seen. "Sir," she said to Morrison, "I think we're about to become part of something much bigger than a simple invasion. Someone out there is playing a very long game, and we've just been dealt our cards." Morrison stared at the screens, watching as Earth's defensive capabilities evolved before his eyes. "Then let's make sure we play them right. Humanity's future may depend on more than just whether we win or lose this fight." As the first waves of hegemony scouts entered Earth's atmosphere, Sarah Chen felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge, armed with technology they barely understood, given by allies they'd never met, for reasons they could only guess at. The game was about to begin. In her quantum lab deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Sarah watched as the Arcturus protocol continued its work. The original signal had gone silent, but its gift continued to grow, adapt, and evolve. Earth's defensive systems were changing by the hour, becoming something that even she, with her decades of quantum computing expertise, could barely comprehend. As the first shots of humanity's greatest war were about to be fired, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, when this was all over, would humanity still be the same? Or was this transformation about more than just defending Earth? The answers would come soon enough. The hegemony fleet was almost in position, and the Arcturus protocol was ready to show them that humanity was far from defenseless. The real question was, what would they become in the process? The protocol awakens. The hegemony's first attack came at dawn. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from the underground command center as massive energy signatures lit up the tactical displays. The alien ships had positioned themselves in a precise geometric pattern around Earth, their dark hulls absorbing sunlight like artificial black holes. "Multiple weapons signatures detected," announced Colonel Maya Rodriguez, her hand steady on the control interface. "They're targeting major military installations first." Sarah nodded, her attention focused on the quantum displays showing the Arcturus protocol status. The alien-given defense system had spread throughout Earth's military infrastructure over the past week, transforming everything it touched. Now they would see if it was enough. "All stations, initiate protocol shield," she ordered. The first hegemony blast, a concentrated beam of exotic particles, struck toward the North American Defense Command. But instead of the expected devastation, something extraordinary happened. The energy beam encountered an invisible barrier that wasn't there a second before, its deadly force dissipating into harmless light. "Impossible." The hegemony commander's voice boomed through their communications. "Your civilization does not possess this level of technology." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "The protocol didn't just give us shields," she muttered, watching as new data streamed across her quantum displays. "It's learning from their attack." Each hegemony weapon discharge provided new data, and the protocol adapted with impossible speed. Within minutes, Earth's defensive screen had evolved to perfectly counter their weapons. But Sarah noticed something else in the data streams. The protocol wasn't just defending. It was building something. "Dr. Chen," Marcus called from his station, "you need to see this. The quantum networks, they're creating new structures in orbit." Sarah rushed to his terminal. In the space between the hegemony ships and Earth's atmosphere, microscopic machines were assembling themselves from raw materials. The protocol had hijacked defunct satellites and space debris, transforming them into something entirely new. "It's not just a defensive system," she breathed, watching the structures take shape. "It's a complete technological ecosystem." The hegemony noticed too. Their second wave of attacks targeted the growing orbital structures, but for every one they destroyed, two more assembled themselves from the debris. It was like watching technological evolution in fast forward. Dr. Chen, Colonel Rodriguez called, "We're detecting energy buildups in the new structures. They're charging weapons." The orbital platforms came alive, releasing precise beams of energy that sliced through the hegemony shields like they weren't there. Not destroying their ships, but surgically disabling their weapons and propulsion systems. "This is High Commander Vex." The hegemony leader's voice had lost its confidence. "Stand down your advanced defense systems immediately. The use of builder technology by primitive species is forbidden by galactic law." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. "Builder technology," she whispered. Marcus was already searching through the decoded portions of the original Arcturus signal. "There's something here," he said. "References to entities called the Builders. Looks like they were some kind of ancient civilization, but the data is fragmented." Before they could dig deeper, the quantum displays suddenly blazed with new information. The protocol wasn't just defending Earth anymore. It was reaching out, extending tendrils of influence into the hegemony ships themselves. "Their systems are being compromised," Colonel Rodriguez reported with awe. "The protocol, it's rewriting their technology." Sarah watched as alien ships began powering down, their crews evacuating to emergency vessels. The mighty hegemony fleet was being systematically neutralized by technology they apparently recognized but couldn't counter. But victory brought more questions than answers. Who were the Builders? Why had they given humanity this technology? And most importantly, what was the protocol evolving into? Her answers began to come from an unexpected source. As the last hegemony ships retreated, a new signal appeared, similar to the original Arcturus transmission, but originating from within the hegemony fleet itself. "Dr. Chen," a new voice spoke, different from the hegemony commanders. "I am Sentinel Zora, part of a secret faction within the hegemony. We've been waiting for another species to successfully implement the protocol. There is much you need to know." Sarah looked at Morrison, who nodded grimly. "We're listening," she replied. "The Builders didn't vanish," Zora continued. "They ascended. And they left behind tests. Protocols like the one you received, searching for species worthy of following them. The hegemony. We were meant to be guides, not conquerors. But power corrupted our purpose." "And now?" Sarah asked, watching as the protocol continued its work, Earth's technology advancing by the hour. "Now you face a choice," Zara replied. "The protocol will continue to evolve your civilization's technology. But evolution without wisdom leads to destruction. The hegemony's main fleet approaches. Thousands of ships, not hundreds. They will try to destroy you before you can fully implement the protocol." Sarah studied the quantum displays, seeing patterns within patterns. The protocol wasn't just a weapon or a defense system. It was a key to transformation, to advancement, perhaps even to humanity's next evolutionary step. But every advancement came with a price. "How long do we have?" Morrison asked. 3 days, Zara replied. "Use them wisely. The true test is not whether you can fight the hegemony. It's what you choose to become in the process." As the transmission ended, Sarah turned to her quantum displays. The protocol was still evolving, still building, still transforming humanity's technology. But now she understood. This wasn't just about survival. It was an audition for something far greater. In orbit, the newly created orbital platforms continued their work, preparing Earth for what was to come. Humanity had passed the first test, but the real challenges and choices lay ahead. And somewhere in the vast distance between stars, ancient eyes were watching, evaluating, waiting to see if humanity would prove worthy of the power they'd been given. Evolution's edge. Dr. Sarah Chen hadn't slept in 48 hours. The quantum lab's displays cast a ghostly blue glow across her face as she tracked the protocol's increasingly autonomous activities. What had started as a defensive system was now reshaping human civilization at its core. "It's beautiful," Marcus whispered, watching as new patterns emerged in the quantum data fold. And terrifying. Across the globe, the protocol was transforming human technology at an exponential rate. Cities were developing self-repairing infrastructure. Vehicles were spontaneously upgrading themselves with anti-gravity systems. Even medical technology was advancing beyond their comprehension, with nanobots appearing in hospitals, capable of curing diseases thought incurable. But with each advancement came new concerns. Dr. Chen, Colonel Rodriguez burst into the lab, her usual composure shaken. The protocol just accessed our nuclear facilities, all of them, simultaneously. Sarah's fingers flew across her quantum interface, trying to understand the system's intentions. The protocol wasn't just accessing the facilities, it was completely redesigning them, transforming deadly weapons into something else entirely. It's not destroying them, she realized, studying the data. It's evolving them into clean energy sources. The radiation is being transmuted into. I don't even have words for this type of energy. Morrison entered the lab, followed by an elegant alien figure, Sentinel Zara. The hegemony defector had been providing crucial insights into the protocol's true nature. It's preparing you, Zara said, her silvery eyes reflecting the quantum displays. The Builder's protocol doesn't just advance technology. It advances civilization itself. But it requires careful management, or the evolution can become unstable. As if to emphasize her point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Marcus pulled up satellite feeds showing a situation unfolding in the Pacific Ocean. A protocol-enhanced research facility had begun replicating itself, creating structures that rose from the seas like crystal mountains. This is what we feared, Zara said grimly. Runaway evolution. The protocol doesn't just enhance technology. It enhances the rate of enhancement itself. Without proper guidance, it can spiral out of control. Sarah accessed the facility's systems, trying to understand its purpose. It's not just building, she said. It's preparing. Look at these designs: orbital defense platforms, energy matrices, quantum communication arrays. It's getting ready for something bigger than the hegemony fleet. Because it knows what's coming, Zara replied. The hegemony is just the beginning. The Builder's test has multiple stages, each more challenging than the last. Before she could elaborate, new alerts flashed across their screens. The quantum sensors they'd placed throughout the solar system had detected something massive entering from deep space. But it wasn't the hegemony fleet. A ship emerged from what appeared to be a fold in spacetime itself. Unlike the angular, aggressive designs of the hegemony, this vessel was organic, almost alive in its appearance. It moved with impossible grace, coming to rest in high Earth orbit. A Builder artifact, Zara breathed, her voice filled with awe. They only appear to species on the verge of ascension, or extinction. The ship broadcast a message, not in words but in pure data, flowing directly into their quantum networks. Sarah watched as the information unfurled in her mind, thanks to the neural interfaces the protocol had recently gifted humanity. It's showing us the truth, she whispered, about everything. The Builders, the protocol, the tests, the very nature of consciousness in the universe. The images filled her consciousness. The Builders, an ancient race that had discovered the quantum nature of reality itself. They had learned to transcend physical form, becoming beings of pure energy and thought. But before ascending to a higher plane of existence, they created the protocols, tests to find other species worthy of following their path. The hegemony had been meant to be guardians of this process, helping guide younger species. But they had become corrupted, choosing to dominate rather than nurture. Now, humanity had been chosen as potential replacements. The main hegemony fleet approaches, Zara announced, checking her own quantum feeds. They will arrive within 24 hours. But they are not your true test. What is? Morrison asked, though his expression suggested he already knew. Control, Sarah answered, understanding flowing through her protocol-enhanced mind. The test isn't whether we can defeat the hegemony. It's whether we can control our own evolution, whether we can handle power without being corrupted by it. As if in response, the protocol suddenly surged, quantum networks blazing with activity. New technologies began emerging faster than ever. Consciousness transfer systems, reality manipulation engines, even time dilation fields. The power to reshape the very fabric of existence was being handed to humanity on a silver platter. "We need to make a choice," Sarah said, looking at Morrison. "We can use this power to obliterate the hegemony fleet when it arrives. Show them the same mercy they've shown others. Or we can prove we're different," Morrison finished, "that we can handle power without abusing it." Zara nodded approvingly. "Now you understand the true test. But you have less than a day to decide humanity's path. The protocol will continue to evolve, with or without your guidance. What you become in the process, that is the real challenge." In orbit, the Builder artifact pulsed with ancient energy, watching, waiting. The hegemony fleet approached, unaware they were about to encounter either humanity's greatest triumph or their own destruction. And in her quantum lab, Sarah Chen faced the most important decision of her life. The protocol had given humanity the power of gods. Now they had to prove they had the wisdom to use it. The next 24 hours would determine not just Earth's fate, but humanity's very soul. The Builder's game. The Builder artifact hung in Earth's orbit like a second moon, its crystalline surface refracting sunlight in impossible patterns. In her quantum-enhanced vision, Dr. Sarah Chen could see the waves of probability flowing around it, reality itself bending in its presence. "The hegemony fleet will exit hyperspace in 6 hours," Colonel Rodriguez reported, her voice steady despite the tension filling the command center. 5,000 ships at minimum. Sarah barely heard her. Her consciousness, expanded by the protocol's latest evolutionary leap, was focused on the patterns emerging from the Builder artifact. What had seemed like random energy pulses were actually something far more complex. "It's not just watching us," she whispered. "It's running simulations, thousands of them. Every possible choice we might make, every potential outcome." Marcus looked up from his quantum terminal, his eyes wide. The protocol's evolution rate just doubled again. "Look at these new schematics." The displays showed weapons that could unmake matter, shields that could bend time, engines that could fold space. With such technology, humanity could easily destroy the approaching hegemony fleet. But Sarah saw something else in the data streams, a pattern within patterns, a deeper message hidden in the quantum noise. "We've been thinking about this all wrong," she said suddenly, straightening up. "Zara, the Builders didn't just leave these tests to find worthy successors, did they? This is about something more fundamental." The alien sentinel nodded slowly, her silver eyes reflecting the quantum displays. "You begin to understand. The Builders discovered something at the heart of reality itself, something that changed their understanding of existence. Consciousness." Sarah breathed, the realization flowing through her protocol-enhanced mind. "It's not just about technological evolution. It's about the evolution of consciousness itself." The Builder artifact pulsed, as if in response to her understanding. New data flooded the quantum networks, showing Sarah visions of the universe she could barely comprehend. The Builders hadn't just transcended physical form. They had discovered that consciousness itself was the fundamental force of reality. "The universe isn't just conscious," she explained to the others, struggling to put the cosmic concepts into words. "Consciousness is what shapes reality." The Builders learned to manipulate reality by evolving their consciousness to higher states. But with that power came a choice. "The same choice we face now," Morrison said grimly, watching as the protocol continued upgrading Earth's defenses. "Power without wisdom leads to destruction." Zara stepped forward, her form shimming slightly as she interfaced with the quantum field. "The hegemony faced this test centuries ago. We chose power over wisdom, dominance over understanding. We thought we could force our way into ascension. But you can't," Sarah finished, "because the very act of trying to force it proves you're not ready." The quantum displays suddenly blazed with new activity. The protocol wasn't just evolving their technology anymore. It was offering to evolve humanity itself. Neural interfaces that could expand consciousness, quantum fields that could free minds from physical form, gateways to higher dimensions of reality. My God, Marcus whispered, reading the data. We could become like the builders. Right now, just step into a higher plane of existence and abandon Earth. Leave humanity behind. Morrison asked sharply. With the hegemony fleet approaching, Sarah studied the builder artifact, understanding flowing through her enhanced consciousness. That's part of the test, isn't it? The hegemony chose power over responsibility. They abandoned their role as guardians, seeking ascension for themselves. Yes, Zara confirmed. And now you face the same choice. You have the power to ascend, to become like the builders, or you can stay and fight, protecting not just Earth, but all the younger species that will follow. The decision crystallized in Sarah's mind as she watched the protocol's offerings. The power to reshape reality, to transcend physical form, to become like gods. But at what cost? Humanity's not ready, she said finally. We have the technology, but not the wisdom. Not yet. She turned to Morrison. We need to lock it away. The protocol's highest functions, the ascension protocols, humanity needs to earn them. The hard way. The builders will approve, Zara said softly. But first, you must survive. The hegemony fleet approaches, and they will show no mercy. Then we'll show them something else, Sarah said, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. Not our power, but our potential. Not what we could become, but what we choose to be. The builder artifact pulsed once more, and Sarah felt its ancient consciousness touch her mind. Images flowed, civilizations rising and falling, species facing the same choice throughout the eons. Power versus wisdom. Ascension versus responsibility. 4 hours until the fleet arrives, Rodriguez announced. Sarah nodded, her decision made. The protocol had given them the power of gods, but true wisdom meant knowing when not to use it. The real test wasn't about defeating the hegemony. It was about proving humanity could handle power without being corrupted by it. As she began locking away the protocol's most advanced functions, Sarah felt a sense of peace. Humanity would face the hegemony with significant but limited power, choosing wisdom over absolute victory. The builder artifact pulsed with what felt like approval. The true game wasn't about winning or losing. It was about proving worthy of the power they were given by choosing not to use it all. Ascension. The hegemony fleet emerged from hyperspace like a metal storm, 5,000 warships blotting out the stars. Their arrival cast shadows across the lunar surface, a display of force meant to terrify any watching species into submission. But humanity was no longer watching with ordinary eyes. In the Quantum Command Center, Dr. Sarah Chen observed the fleet through multiple layers of reality. The protocol-enhanced sensors showed her not just the ships, but the quantum probability waves surrounding them. The flow of time through their hulls, the very fabric of space warping around their drives. They're deploying in attack formation, Colonel Rodriguez reported, her voice calm despite the overwhelming odds they faced. Multiple weapon signatures charging. Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of humanity's future in her next commands. They had locked away the protocol's most devastating capabilities, choosing to face this challenge with restraint rather than overwhelming force. Now they would see if wisdom truly could triumph over pure power. All stations, she ordered, initiate defense pattern Arcturus. Around Earth, the orbital platforms they'd created came alive, but not with weapons. Instead, they began generating overlapping fields of quantum energy, creating a shield unlike anything the universe had seen before. Not a barrier to stop attacks, but a field that could redirect them, reshape them, transform them. This is High Admiral Kex of the Hegemony Imperial Fleet. A voice boomed through their communications. Your species has stolen builder technology, violated galactic law, and rejected your rightful place in the natural order. Surrender now, and your punishment will be minimal. Sarah exchanged glances with Sentinel Zara, who stood watching the confrontation with ancient eyes. The hegemony defector had helped them understand the true nature of the Builder's test. Now she would witness humanity's response. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen of Earth," she replied, her voice steady. "We understand now what the Builders were testing for. It was never about power. It was about choice." The hegemony fleet launched its first attack, a coordinated barrage that could have cracked a planet. But when the energy weapons struck Earth's quantum shield, something extraordinary happened. The destructive force was not just absorbed or deflected, it was transformed. Where death and destruction should have rained down, flowers began blooming in the upper atmosphere. The hegemony's weapons had been transformed into pure creative energy. "Impossible." Admiral Kex's voice shook with rage. "You dare mock us?" "No," Sarah replied softly. "We're showing you what you forgot. What the Builders were trying to teach all along." The hegemony launched wave after wave of attacks, each more devastating than the last. Each time, Earth's defenses transformed the energy into something new. Schools of luminous space fish swimming through the ionosphere, aurora-like displays of mathematical beauty, crystalline structures that captured starlight and turned it into music. In orbit, the Builder artifact pulsed with increasing intensity. Sarah could feel its ancient consciousness watching, evaluating, understanding. "You're not even fighting back," Admiral Keck said, confusion finally breaking through his anger. "Because this isn't about fighting," Sarah explained. "The Builders didn't give us technology to destroy. They gave us the chance to show what we might become. And we choose to create rather than destroy, to transform rather than overcome." Through her quantum-enhanced senses, Sarah could see the impact their choice was having. The hegemony crews were watching in awe as their weapons of war were transformed into works of cosmic art. Centuries of military doctrine were being challenged by a simple demonstration of creative transformation. The Builder artifact suddenly flared with brilliant light. New data cascaded through the quantum networks, but this time it wasn't technical schematics or weapon designs. It was something far more profound. "Understanding," Zara whispered, her silver eyes wide. "The Builders are pleased." The artifact's energy expanded, enveloping both the Earth and the hegemony fleet in a field of pure quantum potential. In that moment, Sarah could see through time itself, the long game the Builders had been playing. The true purpose of their tests. They weren't looking for successors, she realized. They were looking for healers, species that could help guide the galaxy not through force, but through transformation. The quantum field pulsed once more, and knowledge flowed into both human and hegemony minds. The Builders had discovered that consciousness itself was the key to cosmic evolution, but that evolution couldn't be forced or fought for. It had to be grown, nurtured, transformed. "We understand now." Admiral Kex's voice had lost its hardness. "After all these centuries, we finally understand." The hegemony fleet began powering down its weapons. In that moment of shared enlightenment, ancient enemies found something more powerful than conflict, the possibility of transformation. The Builder artifact's final pulse downloaded its last gift. Not weapons or defenses, but a map. A pathway to the stars, to other young species struggling with their own evolution. Not to conquer them, but to guide them, to help them transform their own conflicts into creation. "The real ascension," Sarah said, watching as the quantum field slowly dissipated, "isn't about leaving our physical form behind. It's about transforming who we are, about choosing to create rather than destroy." The hegemony fleet began to withdraw, not in defeat, but in understanding. They had finally passed their own test, centuries after failing it the first time. In the Quantum Command Center, Sarah Chen looked at the star map the Builders had given them. Humanity's next challenge would not be fighting wars or building weapons. It would be helping other species transform their own conflicts, their own fears, their own destructive impulses into something greater. The protocol remained, but transformed. No longer a weapon or even just a defense, but a tool of transformation. Humanity had chosen not to ascend beyond physical form, but to help the galaxy itself ascend beyond conflict. Ready to begin our real work? She asked Morrison, who nodded with understanding. Above them, the Builder artifact began to fade from normal space, its purpose fulfilled. But its final message remained, encoded in the very quantum fabric of reality. The greatest power is not the ability to destroy or dominate, but the wisdom to transform conflict into creation, fear into understanding, and enemies into allies. Humanity had passed the test not by proving their power, but by proving their potential to help the galaxy itself evolve. The true ascension had begun. The end.